Good afternoon from the garden. It's the 24th of February and as you can see it's a beautiful sunny day and it's very warm. I'm just wearing a single layer and this is not normal for us. Normally February here is the coldest month of the year, but this year we have record-breaking temperatures and I would enjoy this day more if I were not worried about climate change, but that's a different story. In today's video I want to give you an update on our greenhouse and show you what we're currently harvesting from it. Back in October we filmed a video about transitioning the greenhouse from summer to winter crops, and I talked about in detail about all the crops that we were planting for the cooler months, so I will link that video below if you want to go check that out. But in today's video I want to show you how those crops have fared throughout the winter. Admittedly, our winters are not that cold. I know some of you in Northern America have experienced much more extreme weather this winter, and here the temperatures only went down to -12 Celsius. That means that there are crops that will survive the winter outside without protection. So we have some leeks and kale and winter purslane outside, but our main harvest of greens is coming from the greenhouse. So let's have a look. The single most productive crop here in the greenhouse has been winter purslane, and it is a pretty hardy crop, so we have some of it growing, or we have lots of it growing outside, but the difference is that here in the greenhouse it regrows much better, much faster, and I'm able to pick from it even when outside the quality is not so good in the coldest months. So this has already been cut, I think, at least 3 times. It is a very mild tasting green, so it usually makes up the bulk of our winter salads. So, and it is a favorite of my son, so I always pick a lot of it. It's also less sensitive to short daylight length than some other crops, so it regrows better during the darkest months as well. So for example, we have some hardy lettuces here too, but those are much more sensitive to daylight length. So in the winter we can't really, during December, January, we can't really harvest from them. Next to the winter purslane I have some spinach, and that's also doing really well, and some chard. And I like to pick only the smallest leaves for salad and not too many of them because they have quite a strong taste. But especially the red chard is really pretty in salad, so I think it will be nice next year to plant more of that. In this part of the greenhouse I have several plants of the lettuce that's called Claremont, and it's a lettuce that we had in our trial outside. It was our favorite from the trial and it's self-sowed in the bed a lot. So I took out in September, October, I think quite late, I took out the seedlings and replanted them here in the greenhouse. And now that the days are getting a little longer again, they're growing more, so we can harvest from them. And I harvest them leaf by leaf. So I just remove a couple of the outer leaves from every plant. And this way we can keep harvesting from them for weeks and weeks. And again, this is a very, of course, mild tasting green, so it's nice to have a lot of it. So these are the relatively mild tasting leaves that make the bulk of our salad, but I also like to add something with a bit more bite. Things like land cress that I have here, which has a slightly spicy taste, not terribly so during the colder months, and it has actually not been growing much throughout the winter, but you can see that now it's picking up again and it will bulk up and we'll be able to harvest more in the coming weeks. And anyway, I just want a few of the leaves for a bit more zest in the salad. And the third category of plants that I like to add to my salads are some herbs. We have parsley here, which is now growing beautifully. I've been picking a little bit from it throughout the winter, but again now it's really coming to life. And herbs like this are so rich in vitamins and iron, so it's really good to add them regularly to salads, not just use them as garnish. So it's parsley. And then here I have cilantro or coriander, and that's probably the biggest surprise of this winter because I did not realize it was this hardy. I've always thought of it as a more warm temperatures herb, and actually you can see it's been growing even better than the parsley here. Unfortunately, it's not universally popular in our household, so I can't add a lot of it to salads, but I will sneak in a few leaves. If you have any good recommendations for what you can do with cilantro, please let me know in the comments. Then there is a third herb that I like to add, and it's chervil, which is a very hardy herb actually, and I have some of it growing outside, but again in the greenhouse it's putting out much more growth than the plants outside. It's a nice mild tasting aniseed-like flavor herb, and especially children often enjoy it. So it's also a nice variation because it's so different in taste from the other things that I put in my salad. Then the last thing that I like to add to my salads are some edible flowers, and I planted some Johnny Jump Ups that sell seed throughout the garden. I planted a few here in the greenhouse to be able to harvest in the winter. There are not many blooms, and they actually do not have that much taste, but they're super pretty, so it is a nice addition. So that's our salad for today, and I'm super happy with it. I'm so happy we have the greenhouse, which makes it possible for us to harvest this variety of greens in February. Because it's now that the days are getting longer and warmer, slightly warmer, and we're growing tired of the winter vegetables. It's really nice to have something lushly green. I hope you enjoyed this update on our greenhouse. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon. Happy gardening!